Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters and compassion, mercy of grand predecessor, transmitters, lecturers, temple masters, and others for giving me this opportunity today to talk about today's topic, which is chapter 18 of the Tao Te Ching. Now, as you guys will recall, last week we talked chapter 17, correct? Which is about to know, to have, okay? The Tao, basically, 自由, okay? And it talked about four, here, maybe I'll share this with you guys. Talked about the four, I won't say levels, but four conditions, if you will, of people in general, right? Of the state of people. Okay, so I don't know. I hope you guys can see. Let's see. Can you see? What's this? Okay. Hold on 1 second. You guys can see this screen, right? Can you, guys? This, chapter 17 summary. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay, good. All right. So the first four lines / phases, okay? Remember chapter 17 last week, right? To know, to have, 自由, right? Okay. Talk about the four conditions or levels, okay, maybe. Okay. Externally, they're talking about the emperors, right? Or rulers, okay? The first level, second, third, fourth. Okay, so this is chapter 17. For the next three chapters, 18, 19, 20, Lao Tzu is going to talk about, dive into what happens or what's the situation like when we no longer on this first level. Okay, when we sort of like departed from the Tao or from our Buddha nature. Let's make it that way. It's easier. Okay, so basically in chapter 18, he's going to talk about what happens when we're at this level, or this level. Okay, all right. Now here he's talking about rulers in chapter 17. Obviously, we knew or we learned from last week that it's more than just talking about rulers, right? This is the external meaning, right? The superficial meaning. The deeper meaning is just about us, right? Within us. As a matter of fact, the rulers could be considered to be our Buddha nature, our true master, if you will. All right? Okay. So that's that. I'm just laying you the background. So chapter 18, 19, and 20 is going to talk about, he's talking about, this is what happened. Well, what's the situation like when we deviated or abandoned the Tao? Okay, it's not that the Tao disappeared. The Tao's still always, it's always around, right? The Tao is eternal, it's everywhere, right? But this is in talking about we humans having lost our way, if you will, by abandoning the Tao. Okay, so that's chapters. That's a situation. So chapter 18, now you can see, right? The title is called Four Halves. Okay, see, four halves. Okay, I mean, that kind of bad, but half. Okay, all right. So let's get going. Okay, so when the great Tao fades away, there is benevolence and justice. Okay, makes sense. All right. Okay, this means great. Tao means great. Okay, fade means to abandon, to abolish, abrogate. Means to what? Annul or discard, cast aside, disuse. Okay. Let's talk about second and third. The last two words of the second phrase. 仁 and 义. Okay, 仁 means benevolence, humanity, all that stuff. Okay, it could mean almond too, by the way. Okay, but 义. Okay, 义 is hard. Okay. the standard translation is righteousness or justice. But it's kind of narrow. Actually, in Chinese, the yi has broader meaning, and it entails many different aspects or nuances. Okay, it could mean being honorable, sense of honor, right conduct, proper conduct, sense of duty, sense of obligation to help others, to correct wrongs, okay, etc. It also means meaning, significance, righteous. Okay, those are okay. But the broader sense is here. Okay, well, you can say sense of duty, sense of duty, sense of obligation. Okay, that's yi. Especially when you combine it, Chinese combine it with another word called qi, or literally means gas, air. So yi, qi is not just righteous, not just justice, not being not it's all of this. Okay, so that's very important. All right, it's in the West now. We've heard of, and especially where we get into, some misunderstanding is when we use, when we define yi, just as righteousness and justice. Okay, so in the West there is a term called self-righteousness, right? The yi is not self-righteousness. Okay, so that's a very important distinction. All right, just understand that. Okay, really, to dive deep for these two terms, Ren and Yi, we should be reading up on the 4 books, Confucius' 4 books, okay? Because that's where they really dwell deeply into it, okay? Mencius, okay, mentions a lot, okay, about this. So, but just understand that yi, embodies more than just righteousness, okay? Even though the translation is justice, because, by saying sense of honor or sense of obligation, it's kind of long. So I don't know. Okay. So basic meaning is this. All right. So when the Tao fades, not disappears, okay, fades from people's memory or understanding or daily application, we kind of abandon it. Let's say the people abandon the Tao or ignore it, okay, ignore it or don't apply the Tao. So it's necessary, it becomes necessary to emphasize benevolence and justice, which are the first and second of the 5 constants of our true nature per Confucius theory, okay? All right, so, okay, so that's pretty basic, right? Yeah, okay? All right, additionally, it does not mean that when the Tao was well known, well understood, and well practiced, that we're at one, where harmony prevailed everywhere, benevolence and justice were not present. That's not true, okay? Just that these functions occur naturally from within our true nature. Hence, there was no need to emphasize. Okay, so that was what we talked about last week in chapter 17 in this condition, right? The first level or the highest level, okay? All right? You guys can see this, right? Okay, so that's the most ideal level. Everything is coming from the highest ruler, meaning from our Buddha nature, okay? The Tao, from within the Tao, we express everything. We live the Tao, if you will, okay? Okay, we live through our Buddha nature, all right? So then everything is ideal. Everything, there is what we call benevolence and righteousness or just, now, among other things, okay, that are all present. So it occurs naturally. Remember in chapter 17, we said at the very end, right, it says everything is natural, right? The people, well, we all say we did it naturally. That's because it's from what? Our Buddha nature, which is, we all have, which is natural, which appears, which is always around, right? Okay, our essence, right? Okay, so that's what we should understand. Okay, just another meaning. Okay, when people no longer recall or understand the Tao or put into daily practice, there's more and more discord, disharmony. So benevolence and justice need to be emphasized. The great Tao in this phrase refers to its application by people, not by the Tao that governs the Nika. Okay, so it's more specific. Okay, it means us, the Tao in us, if you will. Okay, the deeper understanding of the great Tao is this. It's not this grand cosmic essence or thing. Okay, it's not used in this context. It rather represents our conscience. Okay, it's more specific or narrow, confined to us. Okay, in this case, morality and innate knowledge and ability ethics. Okay, that's what this means. So that's why when this great Tao, since it's within us, right? We say it can disappear or fade away when we no longer you have our conscience, display morality, or have innate knowledge, okay, and abilities, right? Okay. All right. There's another deeper understanding of the faith. It just means people no longer in accord with their true nature, okay? The further understanding of benevolence is as the great Tao faded away from people, they have to be reminded to treat each other with compassion, right? We've lost our way. we no longer in accord with our true nature, which means we no longer express our conscience, morality, etc., etc. All right. So then we need to be reminded, okay, all right, that we have something called compassion or something, right, from that Buddha nature. Okay. For the understanding of E, when the great Tao fade away from people, there comes a need to enforce righteousness, justice by law, by rules or regulations. People are no longer naturally honorable and fair, and have to be, quote unquote, forced to do the right thing. Okay, there are stories, right, in the 4 books, or by Confucius, talking about people in ancient times. They don't have jails, right? They don't have jails. Okay, so if they, let's say, I don't know, commit a misdemeanor or something, they just stand in a circle in the village square, to show, to show regret and shame, right? Okay, so there's no punishment, there's no law. Well, that's their punishment. Okay, that's because during those days, people then still have the Tao in them. They still, or for the most part, okay, they still display, their conscience, morality, etc., etc. Okay, sense of honor. Okay, so the deep understanding is, in this context, the Tao here refers to the best part of us that is naturally drawn to goodness, harmony, righteousness, and other positive aspects of humanity, or the applications of functions for our Buddha nature, not the all-inclusive aspect of Tao, the good as well as the bad. Okay, that's the all-inclusive, right? Tao, encompasses everything, right? The good and the bad, which is true, right? The yin and yang. Okay, so in this context, the Tao is similar to the display within us, similar to the display of our 4 immeasurable minds of our Buddha nature, right? We know that, right? It's the infinite loving kindness, boundless compassion, mercy, limitless happy joy, and infinite equanimity or relinquishment. Okay, that's the 4 immeasurable minds of our Buddha nature. Okay, the higher understanding. When we abandon the great Tao, when we are no longer in accord with our true nature, when we no longer apply our Buddha nature daily, we need to be reminded of our innate Buddha nature qualities by applying benevolence and righteousness. Okay? So the implication is, when we abandon the great Tao, we have also lost our conscience and morality. So we can revert to our true nature by applying benevolence and righteousness in our daily lives. Okay. So it's like going back to our original nature. Okay, that's what we're saying. By what? Applying benevolence and righteousness. Okay, so the key point. Although the great Tao is disused, when benevolence and righteousness are spoken, right? That's what Lao Tzu is saying. He's saying, when we have to promote and emphasize benevolence and righteousness in our behaviors, etc., conduct, then that means we're not using the Tao. So why is that, right? That we're cultivating, right? We're all saying, oh, we should be benevolent, we should be righteous, and then among others, okay, then that's down below. But at least these two qualities. So, but are we still following the Tao? Okay, it's yes and no, okay? It's yes, because that's what the Buddha nature, okay, entails, right? That, we display, right? Or we conduct ourselves with benevolence, righteousness, etc., etc. But no, because if it's not natural, if it's not intrinsic, okay, then we have lost the Tao in us, okay? Because remember chapter 17, at the very end, we say, what? People say, hey, it's natural. We do it natural. Natural meaning that it comes directly from our Buddha nature, not from what? I read it someplace in a book, in a sutra, that, the Buddha said we should be benevolent toward each other. See, that becomes the second level. Remember the second level in chapter 17? We now know what? Right and wrong. It becomes duality. Get it? Okay, so this is a very, very important distinction. All right? Okay, so if we do it naturally from within our Buddha nature, which is a innate quality, it's not. It does not need to be taught. Young babies, when they're born, they don't need to be taught that says, this is good behavior, this is bad behavior. Okay, they naturally act according to how they feel or what they see. Okay, you can say it's innocent, right? I mean, that's a very narrow example. Okay, so it's the same idea. Okay, so when benevolence as well, but it is the true original mind, which is the essence that has innate knowledge and ability, morality and conscience, which are the functions and applications of our true original mind. Okay, we say 自心. Okay, same. All right. Okay. So now the second phrase. Oh, by the way, this chapter has 4 parts. It's relatively short. Okay, it's only 4 lines or 8 phrases, if you will. Okay, and each is, you can say its own, because he's talking about the different aspects, okay, of components, if you will, okay, of our, you can say Buddha nature or true nature, okay. All right, so these are the 4, okay. All right, okay. All right, let's go to the second section or line. When intelligence comes forth, there is great deception. Okay. Now, this first 2 words, literally it means wisdom, which is okay. Literally, it means wisdom. Okay. In Buddhism, they go deeper. They say it's knowledge and it's like wisdom, knowledge and wisdom or insight. Okay. But in this case, or in this context, what Lao Tzu said, it means this, okay? Okay, it means awareness, intelligence, knowledge, circumspection, prudence, or shrewdness, okay? Let's see, okay. The last word means false or fake, bogus, counterfeit, ersatz, fraudulent, phony. pseudo knowledge or intelligence or sort of, okay? All right, so the basic translate or meaning of this line is intelligence gives rise to deception, okay? Or, yeah, intelligence, yeah. So intelligence is pretty broad, okay? Because it could be good or bad, right? Clever, it's kind of neutral too. It depends on how you apply it. Okay, shrewdness, yeah, it could be kind of neutral. Depends on how you apply it too. All right. Okay. So, but you can use intelligence, knowledge, cleverness, shrewdness for good and bad. All right. You know, once again, it's duality. Okay. So, all right. So the another meaning is when the Tao was well known, well understood, and well practiced, a natural or innate wisdom prevail for all. Why do I? Okay, anyway. But as the Tao is forgotten, wisdom will be increasingly replaced by the emergence of intelligence, shrewdness, or cleverness, which is acquired and external from our minds. It's outside of our Buddha nature, or it's not, innate within our Buddha nature. So what could be acquired could also be lost. Okay, maybe that's this. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So further understanding. Okay, difference is that the divine or Maha Prajna, the mystical wisdom, which is Bole Miao Zihui, comes from our Buddha nature and is rooted in goodness, while intelligence or shrewdness can be used to deceive. Okay, scammers, right, who use their cleverness or intelligence to exploit people's greed in order to trick them. Okay, all right. Okay. Understanding. Those who are intelligent or shrewd lack the vast and yielding integrity and moral courage. Okay, 就是缺少浩然正气, because they are willing to be at a disadvantage or lose out. Okay, 不肯吃亏. They are unwilling to lose out, so they can take advantage of others for gain. That's that's another reason why shrewd people, they don't have that integrity. Okay, that level of integrity. Okay, all right. Additional understanding. The counter to intelligence or shrewdness is our divine mystical wisdom or Mahaprajna, which happens to be the fourth or the fifth constant of the five constants. Okay, all right. Okay. Deeper understanding. As adults, we start using knowledge instead of wisdom, giving rise to rationalization and self-deception, which is to deceive oneself through knowledge and intelligence, which is kind of, this is like kind of contradictory, right? Okay. Now, how can we deceive ourselves if we have more knowledge and intelligence? Okay. For example, those who just learn about the Tao, but never put into practice, able to make excuses based on their intelligence and knowledge. Okay. We have a lot of, well, not so much in our temples or sangha. We have a lot of we call like scholars, people who really devote their entire lives to learning about the Tao, so they're very intelligent, they're PhDs, okay, all right. But the problem is they approach the Tao as if it's just like some kind of theory or knowledge, okay? And they don't really put it into practice. And they make excuses. They say, oh, this is, I don't know, too theoretical, too abstract, or, too impractical, whatever their reasons, okay? So what happens is they don't understand, what the true purpose of Tao is, okay? Even though they're very intelligent and knowledgeable about the Tao. So this is a trap for those who are very intelligent and knowledgeable. So it's called self-deception due to intelligence and knowledge, okay? All right, we don't want to fall into that, okay? Because that's, all right. Okay, so the higher understanding is once we are no longer at one with our Buddha nature, that is the most I still, right? Chapter 17, first line. We start to use our intelligence or intellect. That's the seventh or defiled mind consciousness or manas consciousness. 第七四, and acquire knowledge to use in our lives. Thus our minds are no longer real or true, and not in accord with our true nature. So our minds becomes deluded, hence there's great deception, okay? All right, so that's how our delusional mind or thoughts come about, okay? All right. So by not being at one with our Buddha nature, we no longer have its direct insights, and divine mystical wisdom does not emerge. So instead we rely on intelligence and acquired knowledge, which are the cognitive processes, okay, which are always changing and permanent. Okay, so this deals with our fourth skanda. Okay, let's talk fourth skanda. Okay, which is the xing part, the cognitive processes, the volition, the will, the mental processes. That's the seventh. Yeah. Okay, the seventh consciousness, or the fourth skanda. Okay. So the key point: intelligence and knowledge are based on the external. Okay, the external, right? They're the external world, okay, environment. So they could be acquired and also could be lost. Thus, they're not permanent and subject to change. So they are deceptive and not real. So instead, by applying our innate divine mystical wisdom or Mahaprajna in our daily life, we can have a positive influence on others, okay? So that's the second line, okay? Third line, okay? When the six relations are not harmonious, there is filial piety and loving kindness. Yeah, makes sense, right? Okay. Qing, okay, it means a lot of things, okay? The parents, relatives, marriage, etc., related by blood, okay? Dear, okay. Okay, so the six relations are what? Family relations. Husband and wife, so that's 2, 1 and 2. Parents and children, 3 and 4. And then older siblings and younger, 5, 6. Okay, so those are the relationships, right? Okay. Okay, he is very important. Okay, so in Lao Tzu we use he, or harmonious. Okay, so 不和 means disharmony, okay, etc. All right. Obviously, xiao, we all know what that means, right? It means filial piety. Unfortunately, for some people, filial piety is a very technical term. It's not common usage, okay? Really, the more, I don't know, the easier way to understand that just means being a good son or daughter to our parents. Pretty much, okay? That's pretty much what it is, okay? All right, okay. 慈 means compassionate, humane, kind affection, loving kindness, or merciful, okay? That's, all right? That's also one of the immeasurable mind qualities, okay? But in this 词, it's a little bit more specific, okay? All right. All right, so the basic meaning is this. When the Tao is well known, well understood, and well practiced, every family is harmonious. But when the Tao is forgotten, or you say discarded, okay, there's more and more discordant family, making it necessary to emphasize filial piety for the children and loving kindness for the parents. So that's a two-way street, right? Right? The children displaying filial piety to their parents, and the parents show loving kindness for their children, okay? All right. Another meaning is this. When there is disharmony in the family, where there is no more respect for the elders and no more loving kindness towards the children, filial piety of the children and affection kindness are emphasized and promoted, okay? All right. All right, so another meaning is filial piety is being a good son or daughter, which is the most basic manifestation of gratitude, to know you have received the goodness, which is the nurturing by the parents, to appreciate it, to reciprocate it or requite it. So that's why filial piety is the first and foremost 100, okay, by 善孝为先. Okay, now I don't, obviously this class topic is not about talking about filial piety. Filial piety could be a totally separate topic on its own, right? Those of you who've attended the Dharma class, first class of the second day is talking about filial piety, and and usually they spend 90 minutes to 2 hours talking about that topic. And, it's pretty broad. Yeah, you can say broad, but there's a lot of things to be said about filial piety. Some people say, "Wow, you people in the Tao, just it's very how can I don't want to say narrow, but very stuck." I can say stuck on filial piety, that you must have filial piety even if your parents abuse you. Okay, so that's a separate topic. All right. Okay. And that's a very you can say sensitive issue. Okay, delicate issue, because it's true. Okay, in this whole world, throughout history. Okay, not all parents. Okay, not 100% of the parents are perfect. Okay, absolutely not. And there are and probably still cases of where, parents abusing their children, especially very young children. Okay, so but there are ways of dealing with that. Okay, there are. I mean, you can read stories. Confucius, okay, in the Analects, talking about Zhenzi, okay, which is I think he's the writer of Great Learning. Okay, author of Great Learning. He's promoted, or people call Zhenzi one of the. Obviously, he's one of the great disciples of Confucius, but also one of his virtues is that he's very filial. He has great filial piety. But even Confucius, and one incident, consider him not to be filial. Okay, all right. There's a story. It's a kind of humorous story, but anyway. All right. So there are many stories about how we can deal with parents that abuse you. Okay, that's a very sensitive issue, and this class is not talking about that. Okay, so that's a separate issue. But there are ways of managing it. We have to have wisdom also. Okay, and many other things. Okay, so anyway, all right, so. Okay, that's a separate issue. Okay, but for our purposes, I would say hopefully at least 99, well, maybe not 99, 90% of the time, all right, parents don't abuse the children, hopefully. Okay, and so filial piety is still very, very important. Okay, because even if they abuse you, we still have to express some kind of gratitude, because without them, we won't exist, right? I mean, that's right. That's the reality, the truth. Okay, all right. So that's different. Okay, so let's not. I don't want to get too deeply into filial piety. That's a separate class. Okay, but just for our purposes, all right, that's an important, you can say, virtue that children should express toward their parents. Okay. All right. Okay. So, shall represent the ethical conduct. It is it's an ethical conduct. Okay. It's a type of propriety, right? Between children and parents. Represents proprieties of human behavior, which is the third of the 5 concepts. Okay. Shao. Okay. Because shao, even though it's a specific trait or virtue, but it's also part of our proprieties, how we should conduct ourselves. Okay, all right. So the deeper meaning of here 6 relations. Ooh, gets better. Okay, we talk about 6 relationship. It relates to our 6 consciousness, 6 roots of consciousness. Right, the 5 consciousness of our 5 sense portals. Right, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch, and the mind, which integrates the first 5. Okay, so it represents internally now. Okay, this is an internal meaning. Okay, not the external. The external is, me and your parents, right? Family. Okay, those are external. Okay, there's the internal. Okay, so the deeper meaning of harmony is our functions and applications of Buddha nature. Okay, so that's the deeper understanding what harmony means. Okay, So then the deeper understanding of harmony is to act in accordance with our Buddha nature. Okay. Okay. 暗示. Sorry. Why is this? Okay. Okay. Sorry. All right, right here. Where knowing harmony is said to be called constancy. Knowing constancy is said to be called clarity. Okay, we haven't read these two phrases yet because it's in chapter 55, right? To cherish virtues chapter. Okay, where constancy, 自常, means knowing the permanent changelessness and non-transforming, which is Buddha nature. Okay, and clarity is to be completely free of ignorance and to have total awareness. Okay, we heard it. We've seen this phrase. Sorry, right here. Okay, in chapter 16, returning to one's nature. Okay, which is the state of our Buddha nature essence. That's the state of our Buddha nature essence. Okay, so that's what He represents. Okay, not just to act in accordance with our Buddha nature, but that's our, you can say, original state of our Buddha nature. Okay, all right. So that's what it is. Okay, the deeper importance of harmony is this. With harmony, one could actually enter into Tao. Okay, harmony could actually be the same as Buddha nature. That is, harmony, constancy, and clarity are linked together. Okay, all right. So they're connected. Okay, all right. So the higher significance of harmony is this. There has to be harmony, for only with harmony can one enter the eternal Tao. That is, enter the Tao, right? Can there be permanent changelessness? Can there be unperturbedness, 如如不动, or unchanging suchness? Okay, I should say right here. Rusi, suchness, or tathata, if you will. Okay? All right. And what's the deeper understanding? Now, this has to do with the internal aspect. Our six sense consciousness are no longer acting in accordance with our true nature, right? All right. So we need to learn how to be in accordance with our Buddha nature and to display its innate qualities, such as, all this, loving kindness, compassion, mercy, happy, joy, etc., right? The fun. Okay? So that's what it means, okay? That our family relationships are in disaccord. Okay, that's external. Internally is we're no longer, our six senses especially, right? Or six consciousness are no longer acting in accordance, okay? So the higher understanding is by no longer following a Buddha nature, our six consciousnesses will constantly compete against one another to be the leader. Have intrigues, okay? This definition means having intrigues, okay, fighting among each other, okay, to come out ahead, causing turmoil in our minds and displaying selfish desires. So there's a need to restrain them, okay, to follow our true nature by applying what? Proprieties. That's why we have proprieties. And if you get one stricter, it's precepts, right? We have precepts to, to sort of want to restrain those, six senses from going wild, right? Okay, from, pursuing whatever they desire, right? Okay, all right, some kind of discipline, right? All right, okay. So the implication is this. By not being accord or at one with our true nature, our minds are confused and chaotic. So we need to make our six consciousness follow our true nature by letting it be the matters. Well, what's it? It's our Buddha nature, true nature, and display its innate virtues of filial piety, loving kindness, etc. That is the application of the innate knowledge and ability of ethics, which is functions of our Buddha nature, which is the essence. Okay? All right, so that's the implication of this line. Okay, so the key point is, by not letting our Buddha nature be our master, our six consciousnesses will not be harmonious. that is not to act in accordance with our true nature. So we need to have Buddha nature be the master and the sixth consciousness be the servant, and have them follow our Buddha nature so that Buddha nature can display the innate qualities, etc., etc. Okay? All right, so that's the third line. Fourth line, last line. Okay, when the country is confused, it's in confused chaos, there are loyal ministers. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, this means country. Hun means confusion, daze, muddled, etc., etc. Okay, last phrase, 乱 means chaos, disorder. Okay, turmoil. Okay. The last two words, 忠 literally means loyal, faithful, honest. Fidelity, loyalty. Okay, that's a noun and adjective. Okay. Last word, 臣 means minister, literally means minister, official. Okay, statesman. Okay, so the basic meaning is this. When the Tao is well known, well understood, and well practiced, all ministers are dedicated, responsible, and loyal. But when the Tao is forgotten, there's more and more discord in the nation, making it necessary to emphasize loyalty or fidelity. Okay, all right? That's the basic meaning, external. Okay, talking about external condition. Okay, here's another meaning, though, of country. It means our own life, a microcosm of a nation. So it's narrow, still external, but it's narrow. Okay, right? So it's not just the whole country, but also you yourself is in confused chaos. So who are the loyal ministers within us? Okay, the deeper meaning of ministers externally means people, internally means various aspects. Okay, externally, total statesmen, ministers, officials. Okay, so, but internally, it's the various parts of ourselves. What are they? Who are they? Okay, they are, you can divide it up, right? The mind, the body, and the soul, or the spirit. Okay, so these three obviously work together. Okay, so any change in one will affect the other two. Okay, so further understanding, this is all still external, even though it talks about your true self. Okay, so there's the mental, the physical, and the true. Okay, all right, here's the deeper meaning of country. It's our mind, internally, our mind. And the deeper understanding of minister. Who's our minister? The true self or Buddha nature. Okay. And so what does that mean, that the loyal true minister? Who's the loyal true minister? Okay. It's our most faithful or most honest, faithful, and reliable minister is who? Our original true self or Buddha nature. Huh? So to trust and have faith in our eternal Buddha nature essence, okay, that is to have trust and faith in our minister, okay, our loyal minister, okay, the most loyal or trustworthy minister, okay. So what is the loyal minister? It represents the glue, or faith and trustworthiness, xin, that unites the four constants, okay. 统四段, literally it means pole, okay, because those of you who know the five constants, it's like represented as a cross with what's in the center. So the cross represents the four constants, four constants, okay, which is righteousness, propriety, wisdom, benevolence, righteousness, propriety, and wisdom. Okay, so these are the four, tips of the cross, if you will. Okay, and what's in the center? Trustworthiness or faith. Okay, faith, trustworthiness. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's our loyal minister. The loyal minister is in the midst or in the center, if you will. Okay, and it can display righteousness, benevolence, righteousness, propriety, and wisdom. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, all right. So the higher understanding is when our minds are confused, vexed, and in turmoil, the only loyal, which is the most honest, faithful, and reliable minister that gives us strength is our Buddha nature. Okay, not our intellectual mind. Okay, all right? Because intellectual mind is already confused and vexed, all right? Okay. All right, so the implication is this. By letting go of our karmic affinities and not let a single thought arise is to be loyal and in accord with who? With the most honest, faithful, and reliable minister, which is our eternal Buddha nature, so as to manifest and apply its innate wisdom, Mahaprajna, to respond to all matters as they arise and return to stillness, which is its original state, as matters fade away. Okay, that's the implication, right? That's where the statement is, there are loyal ministers when our minds are confused, vexed, and in turmoil. Okay? Okay, all right. So the key point, when our minds are confused and chaotic, we can always rely on our Buddha nature, okay? Which is the most honest, faithful, and dependable that we already have, right? We all have the Buddha nature, just that we abandoned it, remember? Right? Okay, so in order to apply its innate four immeasurable and the four constants or halves. Okay, that ends my that ends this presentation. Any questions? Oh, by the way, just as a future, because next week we'll talk about chapter 19, and then, then in September, chapter 20. So this is chapter 18, right? Chapter 18, 19, 20. So actually, those three chapters, chapter 18, 19, 20, kind of, you can say, goes into greater detail about what chapter 17 was talking about these first four levels. Okay, all right. Actually, talks about all that, but it just goes into more detail, or more specifically addressing further, you can say, further explanation of chapter 17. Okay, so chapters 17, 18, 19, 20 are related in that respect. Okay, they just go into further explanation, like just chapter 18. It's further explanation about this, right? Okay, all right, or outside of this, right? This state or level. Okay, so that you guys can read. All right, so that's something to bear in mind when we're reading those chapters. All right, just to be clear, all right? Anybody know what the four halves are? Right? It's pretty straightforward, right? It's the benevolence, the righteousness, righteousness, the wisdom, and the proprieties, right? But then we all know from Confucius, right? There are 5 constants. So the 4 halves are the first 4, right, of those 5. Mm-hmm. Then the 5th is implied, right? Lao Tzu, didn't outright, say it overtly, right? It's implied in the last statement, right? Those of you who can remember this chapter 18 has 4 lines, right? The last line about loyal ministers, right? So the loyal minister is the faith, right? Those who we can have faith or trust, right? Those who we can trust, right? So that's the 5th implied 5th constant, which trust is the unifier of those first 4 constants, which is benevolence, righteousness, wisdom, and propriety, right? They unify the 4. Okay, so that's what the 4 halves. Well, that's what this chapter is about. Okay, so that's it. I'd like to thank the grace of heaven, the virtues of masters, and if I have not said anything correctly, I ask for the Buddha's and Lao Tzu's forgiveness. Okay, thank you.